Greetings, philosophers. Welcome back to the Philosophy Zone, where we're diving deep into the world of Plato, one of the greatest thinkers in history. In our first episode, we explored the historical backdrop of ancient Greece, the rise of city-states, the epic battles with Persia, and the devastating Peloponnesian War that shaped Plato's world. Today, we're shifting gears to explore the cultural milieu of ancient Greece, focusing on its epic literature. This is the world of poets and storytellers, where myths and heroes lit up the Greek imagination and gave Plato the raw material for his philosophy. Picture a society buzzing with tales of gods and mortals, told around firesides and on grand festival stages. Let's step into this vibrant cultural, literary and intellectual landscape and see how it shaped Plato's mind. We start with the beating heart of Greek culture, its epic poetry. By the 8th century BCE, one name towers above all others: Homer. His Iliad and Odyssey aren't just stories, they're the DNA of Greek identity. The Iliad throws us into the Trojan War, a tale of pride, wrath, and loss. We meet Achilles, the ultimate hero, whose anger drives the story but also destroys him. It's a meditation on what it means to chase glory, to be human in a world ruled by fickle gods. The Odyssey, on the other hand, is about survival and cunning. Odysseus, the wily hero, spends 10 years trying to get home, outsmarting monsters and navigating divine traps. These epics, written down around 750 BCE, were like the Greeks' Bible and blockbuster movie rolled into one. Everyone knew them, from farmers to aristocrats. They were recited at festivals, taught to children, and shaped how Greeks saw themselves. What's so powerful about Homer's stories is how they wrestle with big questions. In the Iliad, we're asked, is glory worth dying for? Achilles chooses a short, blazing life over a long, quiet one. Is he right? In the Odyssey, it's about resilience and identity. Who are you when everything, your home, your family, your status, is stripped away? These aren't just adventure tales. They're philosophy in disguise, probing the human condition. And Plato, growing up in Athens around 427 BCE, would have known these stories by heart. They were the air he breathed, the lens through which he saw the world. But Homer wasn't the only voice. Around the same time, another poet, Hesiod, was shaping Greek thought. His Theogony is a wild cosmic origin story explaining how the gods, Chaos, Gaia, Zeus, came to be. It's like a family tree for the universe, full of betrayal and power struggles. Hesiod's other big work, Works and Days, is more down to earth. It's a kind of farmer's almanac mixed with moral advice, telling people to work hard, be just, and respect the gods. Hesiod gives us a glimpse of a Greece that values order, fairness, and a good harvest. But he also warns of a world where justice fails, where the strong prey on the weak. Sound familiar? These are the same concerns Plato will tackle in his philosophy, especially in the Republic, where he dreams of a perfectly just society. Now, let's zoom in on Athens in the 5th century BCE, Plato's hometown. This is the golden age of Greek culture, and the city's buzzing with more than just epic poetry. Enter the world of tragedy, born in Athens and performed at massive festivals like the Dionysia. Imagine thousands of Athenians packed into an open-air theatre, watching plays by Aeschylus, Sophocles, or Euripides. These tragedies aren't just entertainment, they're a public debate about morality, fate, and society. Take Sophocles' Antigone. It's about a young woman who defies the king to bury her brother, pitting family loyalty against state authority. Or Aeschylus' Oresteia, a trilogy about revenge, justice, and the birth of law. These plays ask, what do we owe each other? Can we escape our past? They're questions Plato will wrestle with in his dialogues, especially when he thinks about justice and the ideal state. What's fascinating is how this literature reflects the Greek obsession with the concept of arete, meaning excellence. Whether it's Achilles' bravery, Odysseus' cunning, or Antigone's defiance, the Greeks celebrated striving for greatness. But they also knew excellence comes at a cost. Heroes in these stories often suffer, torn between their desires and their duties. This tension between the individual and the community, between passion and reason, is something Plato picks up and runs with. He's not just reading these stories, he's arguing with them, especially in the Republic. Here's where it gets really interesting. Plato doesn't love this literary culture. In the Republic, he's famously harsh on poets like Homer. He calls them imitators, spinning tales that stir up emotions rather than reason. He worries that epic poetry and tragedy make people irrational, swayed by passion instead of truth. Picture Plato as a young man, sitting in the theatre, moved by Sophocles but also troubled. He thinks these stories, as beautiful as they are, can mislead us. They show gods acting petty. Heroes driven by rage. How can that inspire a good life? So in his ideal state, Plato wants to banish poets. It's a shocking idea, especially from someone who writes dialogues as vivid as any play. But it shows how deeply this cultural world shaped him, even if he's pushing back against it. Epic literature and tragedy weren't just art for the Greeks, they were a shared language. They gave people a way to talk about courage, justice, and the gods. At the Dionysia festival, citizens didn't just watch plays, they judged them, debated them, lived them. This was a culture that loved ideas, that thrived on questioning itself. And Plato, growing up in this world, absorbs it all. His philosophy isn't born in a vacuum. It's a response to the stories he heard, the plays he saw, the values he was taught. When he writes about the forms, perfect eternal truths beyond our messy world, you can hear echoes of Homer's gods, eternal but flawed. When he debates justice, you can feel Antigone's defiance or Hesiod's call for fairness. But there's another layer here. This literary culture wasn't static. It was evolving, just like Greece itself. By Plato's time, Athens is reeling from the Peloponnesian War. The confidence of the 5th century, when poets and playwrights celebrated Athenian greatness, is fading. People are questioning the old values. Are heroes like Achilles worth celebrating if they destroy everything around them? Is democracy, with its messy crowds, really the best way to live? Plato's philosophy steps into this moment of doubt, using the tools of his culture, storytelling, debate, imagination, to build something new. So what's the takeaway? The epic literature of ancient Greece wasn't just entertainment, it was the soul of a civilization. Homer, Hesiod, and the tragedians gave the Greeks their myths, their morals, their questions. For Plato, these stories were both a spark and a challenge. They inspired him to ask what's true, what's good, what's just. But they also worried him, because stories can mislead as much as they inspire. As we'll see in the next episode, in this deep dive, how Plato takes this cultural inheritance and transforms it, weaving it into his vision of a world guided by reason. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the cultural heart of ancient Greece. If this episode's got you thinking, drop a comment. Do you think Plato was right to distrust poets, or was he missing the power of their stories? Subscribe to the Philosophy Zone for our next episode, where we'll dive into the political storms of Plato's Athens and how they shaped his ideas. Until then, keep chasing the big questions. See you next time.